Hello and welcome back. This is Sherry with Heart and Soulful back in the studio today to work on the 5 Little Peppers journal. So if you're just joining me for the first time, welcome. I hope you like this video and you'll give me a thumbs up and click on subscribe and then the little bell so you receive a notification when I post my next video. So I have been working on a series called 5 Little Peppers. That's just the name of the book that I'm using. And I will put a link down in the description of this entire playlist. So if you're just finding this one, you can start from the beginning. I think this is episode 6, if I'm correct. Yesterday, I recorded a video and then accidentally deleted it before I got it into my computer. So I'm going to today just show you what I did yesterday and then how I'm going to be moving forward today. I don't know how much I'll craft on camera, but we'll see. I'm just going to kind of go with the flow here. In the previous video, I left off where I was stitching my slow stitch spine cover piece, just this rusted fabric backing. I'm using the wrong side because it has a more faded look, and it's the same fabric that I used on the inside to bind my book. So I'm using that. So I finished up my stitching. You can see just kind of a really tiny hidden stitch, the same color as the doily that I'm using. And so I'm trying to decide what I want to do next. And I'm having a hard time because I really like it just like it is. And so I keep toying with the idea of just leaving it very simple versus doing a lot of embroidery on it. And so I'm sharing that with you because I don't just have an idea when I start something. In fact, most of the time I don't. And the whole creative process to me is really just coming in here every day and looking at what I'm working on and seeing where it takes me. And sometimes I have an idea one day or in the middle of the night, and then I come in the studio the next day and I totally change what I'm doing. So it makes me kind of bounce around even within a project so that I'm working on something all the time, but maybe it's while I'm trying to make a decision about another part of the project. So in this case, I thought, well, what I really like about this spine cover is this front part. I like that it's scalloped, it's simple. And it's funny because when I look at it, like I'm looking at it now, I see it a certain way. And then when I look at it on camera, I see it differently. So my suggestion to you is if you ever get stuck and have that problem, is take photos of your in progress work, because you might see something in a photo that you wouldn't see, just looking at it in real time. You might get ideas that way or see things that pop out as, something you need to fix or something like that you didn't notice when you're just looking at it. So take photos as you go, or even video, whatever, just so you can look at it from a different perspective. So I decided where I wanted something was on the actual spine, so that if it's sitting in a bookcase or something, that's pretty too, but it seems like I want something here. So I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll maybe make another piece that I can attach. I won't attach it right away like normally I do when I'm slow stitching something. I may patchwork on different fabrics and things like that, and then keep adding to it. And that's normally how a slow stitch piece would go. I have a couple of examples. If this is the first video you're watching and you haven't seen this at all and don't know what I'm talking about, this is a slow stitch journal that I made watching Roxy's Journal of Stitchery, and there is a link below in that channel of this project that I did. This was me just learning for the first time. So you can see I was doing a spine cover, but I've patched work fabrics on and then just done little bits of stitching here and there. That's normally, kind of what it's like. These all had different prompts for the pages. So it's a fun project if you just want to learn how to do this. But that's what I meant by, adding little fabrics. This one was the first in this kind of vintage book journal thing of the small ones that I did. And it was same kind of thing. It was just a piece of lace, and then I added things to it. I didn't add a lot of patches, just the doily, but it's same kind of idea. So that's what I'm doing here. And this is another one. And I'm trying to decide, as I go, what I want to do. So I took this little piece, which came off of a larger piece, and I just, clip off what I want. So I had these 4 medallions, And rather than attaching them right away and then doing all my stitching together, which is how I approached the other ones, I thought, I'm not sure I'll even want something. Maybe I'll change my mind, or maybe I'll still want to do some kind of viney thing with flowers as a background and then put this on top. So I decided to do this work on this individually. So I just took a piece of my rusted fabric and I cut just a strip and kind of roughly cut it to the shape. And then, you know, I basted it on just like I did the larger piece. And then I took those 3 colors that I'm working with now, these 3, and I just started doing little petal stitches on it just to kind of give it that floral medallion sort of look. So this is as far as I've gotten on this. I'm thinking I want something behind here now to kind of highlight it, whether that is stitching. I'm kind of toying with some loopy things back here, or turkey work or something like that, something fluffy, something dimensional, I'm thinking. The other thing that I did, I started cutting out these out of the same fabric just because it's behind, and I thought I could do another layer on top, or it could be a totally different fabric. I may end up not liking this and going and digging around for something that stands out a little bit more, or taking some of my rusted fabric maybe. But I made all these little petals, and I thought about, you know, kind of making this more of a center of a larger flower. But I don't know that I want something that large sticking out either. So I haven't decided. I'm not sold on it enough to start stitching it down yet. So I'll kind of, maybe I'll pin it first and kind of see. So that's what I'm working on for my piece. I'm going to put this aside and then show you some other things I did. Because like I said, when I'm working on maybe the stitching piece, I don't know what I want to do next, and I need a little time to sit with it. So I need to go do something else. So in this case, what I did was I grabbed all my scraps. So back when I was working on these signatures, you know, I originally chose them all, and they were all larger than my book because I kind of, if you've watched the previous videos, I prep folios ahead and have them in a basket that I just pull from. So my pages were all too big, so I had to trim them down. And then I end up with a whole bunch of scraps. These are even maybe some things that, you know, a paper got torn when I was prepping it, or, you know, I cut something, ended up not using it, that kind of thing. So there's just a few, you know, leftover little things that I started and just ended up not putting in the book. So I kind of sort them by size. So I have like all of my strips that I trimmed off. These are mostly the thicker ones because I've already now used up the little ones, and I'll show you what I did with it. That was the video that I did yesterday that I deleted. So I'll put these aside for right now, but I am going to come back to these today for what I'm going to work on today. So yesterday I took and I had sorted my pieces by, you know, putting all the skinny ones in a pile. These I can use for larger things like belly bands, pockets, that kind of thing, decorative edges, whatever. So I took all the small ones and I just sat and kind of randomly layered them. Sometimes I used 2 or 3, you know, strips, and I would just, you know, get a glue stick. The first ones I didn't even glue them together. I just held them together and went straight to my sewing machine. Yesterday I sat, and because I had so many pieces, I just went ahead and glued them to each other. And that way, by the time I was finished, they were dry enough I could sew. So I would take, like I said, you know, this is the wider one. I took 2 skinny ones, and then I just would randomly stitch on them. So my sewing machine has actually more decorative stitches than I thought, because I don't really use them all. But I just, you know, chose different ones. I started out with this color, kind of a gold color thread that I use a lot. Mostly in my journals, I tend to either use this color, which is kind of that tea stain color, if I have kind of something like this, or black. Those tend to be the 2 that I use the most. So I was sewing along, and you can do, you know, multiple, change your stitch halfway through a line, make them all crooked if you want, make them straight if you want. I had this cute leaf pattern, which now shows up better on the back, but just, you know, a kind of a honeycomb stitch. So just randomly do it. I don't put a lot of thought into it. I just kind of do some mask making and just have them be really random. And then I ran out of thread. My bobbin ran out. And so I grabbed a bobbin that I had and found a thread similar color. So I kind of use this since I'm doing this pepper journal. And not all of these will go in this journal. I'll have them for other things. So I just like to, when I'm kind of working on a journal, like I said, and I may be creatively stuck, I'll do something, you know, kind of monotonous like this, just to use up scraps. And then I have them for this journal or other journals. And I usually store these just because they're long. You know, there's plastic bins you can get. They're a little too long for my cigar boxes. That's one thing I collect. But I also collect the sewing machine drawers, you know, and they're long and skinny. So I usually just have a drawer that is just strips of stuff like this. You can also use, you know, those scrapbooking bins or anything you can, so you can dig around in there. So I have these ready to go. I did take some because I had the rusting solution that I showed in the previous video. This is, I just put a little bit of it in a plastic cup and grabbed a paintbrush and just, you know, use a little craft sheet or something to protect your space. And then I just grabbed some. I'm not grabbing all of them to do that. You know, some of them I may want to have a different color. You know, as I work on my journal, I may want to, you know, pick something else, you know, using maybe my distress oxides or inks or, you know, spray inks, things, and just kind of splatter things on them. You can you know, if you don't have all those, these are all the ones I have are, you know, Tim Holtz things. If you don't have that kind of stuff, use tea, coffee, and, you know, your rusty liquid. You can get some spices, turmeric, you know, cinnamon, different spices will add color, that kind of thing. Steep different, you know, onions or steep things and use that liquid. It will be like a natural dye. So I just, you know, get some of these a color just so I have some contrast to my book page. And then, you know, when I'm finished, when they're dry, iron them out. And now you have these nice strips that you can use for lots of things. So we're going to use some of these in this book to maybe reinforce some pages. So I'm going to set this one aside to dry. And let's see where we might want to use any of these just to give you some ideas. And then we'll go to our other scraps and see what other ideas we can come up with today. So some of these pages are, you know, thicker paper because I've maybe already done something to them. I won't worry about the flip ones maybe now, but say you're going to add something to this, another flip, more paper out, or nothing, you know, that you just leave it like that for fun. You could take a strip like this, you know, and trim it down and glue that on there. And now all of a sudden you have this decorated that coordinates nicely with your opposite page, you know, and that's just a one-step decorating kind of thing. That's one place I like to do them as a decoration. Now this paper is pretty thin. It's going to get more ratty on the top, which I don't mind because I kind of like things sticking out and looking worn. But this one, maybe you want to have a sturdier edge to it, something to grab, because the more you work in a book like this, you're moving these pages constantly. So this one is kind of blends too much. But see, that one has some nice contrast. So you could use this and glue that to the edge of your page, and then it kind of gives you something a little more sturdy to hold on to. So you could do one side or the other. And I'm going to find one that I really might actually want to have here. This was with that rusty liquid, but I really like the color it came out. It's that green ledger paper. But I really like how grungy that one is. And that's kind of nice too. And you can have it hanging out. You don't have to do it, you know, all the way to the edge. You can glue it down where it's kind of sticking out even more, and that gives you like some borders on your page. So I don't know which one I want to do here, if any. Oh, I kind of like that one, and it's actually the perfect size. So I'm going to maybe do that. I'll glue this one down just to show you. Let me find something. I need something in here. Now, I have done this in the past, and I haven't done it in a while. Maybe I should do it for these books. sometimes when you're making a journal, I have taken and maybe taken a decorative piece of paper, like a cardstock, decorative cardstock, or anything, could be anything, and laminated it so that you have like a thicker plastic thing that then you can put in between your pages, so that when you want to work on them, when they're in a book, you have something behind them to write on or whatever. I need to start making those for every journal that I do, because I just think it's a nice thing to have. So maybe I'll have to remember to make some of those. So you can use glue stick or, you know, your art glitter glue, something. I wouldn't do anything too wet because you're not going to be able to, well, you can iron it, just be really hard when it's in a book. So I'm going to do this. Which way do I want to go? Do I want to go? I kind of want to go with the raggedy side inside. So you can make, you know, I could have done it this way where the torn edge was on the outside, would have also been nice. But that just gives me kind of, you know, a little sturdier of a page. And I could put something on this side too and make it even sturdier. I could put lace there, something like that. But I like to, you know, at this step, I would just go through. See, this was something that I grabbed out of my pile. And just for now, I put it here. It's just another extra journaling spot. And again, you could put a piece here. Where's that green one? That might be kind of fun just because it's from that. See, I could do an edge like that there if I wanted. But I kind of like to start and go through, you know, ones that are thin, like that one would be a good one to have a piece. So I'll maybe go through this later and kind of look at places now that I could use those. But like here's another one this is actually pretty fragile for a flip. I do like the way that it looks though with the writing. So you could just take a scrap of something and put it on the inside. So this is where I would just kind of probably take way too much time, you know, and relax and just work on this. This is another one. I can see this page is going to keep getting folded. So this would be another good one for an edge. But that's where I would start, is to kind of any kind of plain edges that seem like they could use a little reinforcement because they're going to get handled a lot. Okay, so that would be that step. So I'm going to put these aside though and move on to some other ideas. Okay. Oh, and I have this random piece of fabric. I keep a little, this is more than just this project, but I keep a little, this little dish, which needs to be bigger maybe. Oh, what's this doing in here? And it's just maybe little trashy scraps that were on my table. I kind of throw them here just to kind of keep them in one spot. And then that way, when I need to dig around for something little, I might find it in there. It's kind of just a mystery basket. Okay, so I'm gonna grab and see what I have in here. Obviously that is just even nice on its own as just another little, if there's a pocket somewhere, as just a little journaling scrap. So I can kind of just tuck that in there. This, I had done one as an envelope. This little, after you do these for a while, you'll kind of figure out, I need to do something with this because it keeps flopping out. I should figure that out. Somewhere in here, this here, I had done this little ephemera, so I can put like little bits of pieces, even little, you know, scraps of anything that you might want to journal with. You know, just stick little random stuff in there. So I have this piece that I cut off. I could do another thing like that, or I can do an actual pocket on the front of a page, maybe have it go this way. So maybe somewhere, that's too hard to get in. It needs to be a page on this side. I shouldn't do it in the same signature where I already have one, so I want to do it in either this one. That would not be a bad spot, and it has something else going on the other side. So you kind of also want to think about what you might need to be doing on the other side, you know, if you're going to be writing or something like that. You want to kind of pay attention to how bulky you're going to make this side. That wouldn't be a bad spot for a little pocket. I kind of like that little piece. Let's see if there's anyone in the front. I kind of like this little one, maybe. So I would have another little ephemera pocket there. Okay, that's easy enough. So I would take this and let's see. Last time I used the tape and that worked great. So just some, actually even these little tapes might work well too. Let's see how that works. If I can get this. I don't know why this was in there. It might be not working. So that just reinforces that edge a little bit. And that's just an easy enough pocket. I find using those types of, either this is just one of these Tombow adhesives, one of these, or this is just some double stick tape. Those work well for parchment papers, and this is tracing paper, because it doesn't get too wet, because this type of paper really gets wrinkly and wavy when you use glue on it. So that actually works out nicely. Okay, so I have that. I could do something decorative here. I could go with my sewing machine and sew that before I put it on, and that gives me that little bit of, stitching. I talked about how you can add that later. This is kind of one of those places that you can add it. I don't think I want to do it here because I have red in there right now in my sewing machine. So I think I'll just leave it like it is. It kind of looks like it wants to have something more. So let's see if I can get some ink on it maybe. This is just one of those little finger daubers. I just bought them and I haven't used them, but they came in a whole big giant pack of them, a box of them, so you can kind of have one for every color of your thing. Where'd that page go now? Clips are a good idea if you're working on something like this and you can't find your, I keep losing my page, is just kind of do that. I just want to kind of see how that's looking. Now see how that kind of giving it a border like that, it allows you to kind of see it on the page a little bit better. I'm not sure I like this color. I should have probably went with my usual. So I might see what a baby wipe does to this. I usually use Vintage Photo because it's more subtle. But if I keep, kind of don't add ink and just kind of keep blending it out, then I might like it better. So let's just kind of. See about dirtying that up a little bit. Okay, so you can see that just dirtied it up so that it has some contrast, more contrast. If you get too much, now I don't know how this will be. I'm just going to take a baby wipe. This is not very wet, which I don't want it to be because it'll make this really kind of get all wonky. So I do like that because this is dark over here, is to bring in some kind of dark thing. I wish I had black thread in my thing and I could stitch the edge of that. But you could also do it with a pen or something too. It's just make a little fake stitch line. But it's going to have things inside of it. So I kind of like that, just how that is. Okay, so I'm going to now, let's see, how do I want to stick this down? I want it to stay pretty good. Actually, the other thing I could do is I could leave it open somewhere like on the top. And then it's a pocket this way also. That might be kind of cool. I could even maybe notch this where on this one end, because I have it taped, if I keep it just a small notch. That way, otherwise, unless I put something in there, I forget that it's a pocket. So I wonder what about if I even pull it down so that I have more room here for a card? and it actually hangs below that page. I don't know that I like that, but I kind of like the idea of having this be a pocket this way and an envelope this way. So, but then I don't think I want it on that page. Here I go. See, this is what I mean about second guessing. Now I actually kind of like that better, and then I don't mind it. It can go all the way down. I can make this a pocket, and then it's a pocket this way too. Okay, I like multi things. So we're gonna do that and put it on that side. Okay, so I want to make a notch here. I'm gonna use a circle punch. This one's a 1 inch. Let me see if I have a smaller one. This one's a smaller one. So I'm gonna do a small punch. Now I don't know if it'll go through this. I'm gonna keep it to the side of my thing. You know how, even though it's not wet, it's thin paper. So sometimes adding another layer, I was gonna see if I had, yeah, it just wants to bite it, but kind of, so let me see, where is this one? Line that up, put my paper there. Okay, that's harder to do. So you wanna use something sturdier, but use it on the top. You know, I want to put this direction so I can see where I'm doing it, but you want the thicker paper on the top. So once you find out where you want to be, this is a learn as you go video. Okay, and then I want to take this and dirty that up. Use my cuticle scissors. There, that way I can see that it's a pocket this way and it's an envelope this way. So I'll have to put something in there and a card in here this way. Okay, so I think I'm just going to use the tape on the back side to tape it down. This may work fine. It's a little harder to control. So I'm going to do this tape on those 3 sides. Okay, now I have another little see-through pocket. I can put something here inside. So I like that. I might want something though, this is kind of floppy. So I might want to put something here to kind of a tuck so it can tuck in. What do I have? That would be cute. This is actually a piece of paper that I have another little thing that has random small things in it. So like these are a bunch of buttons that I had made. I would have had to put that in. I couldn't have done that unless I did it first. But some different little things. That's a little gear. That's kind of cool. A little tiny metal gear. If I glue just half, then the other half can kind of tuck in there. I actually like this color. I don't know how well this will stick. But this was just this other one was just an actual copy of a watch face. And then I put some resin on it. So let's see. I'm thinking I might try this. It's a little tiny metal cog wheel kind of thing. So if I go here, I'm thinking art glitter glue would work and just glue half of it to the page. So we're going to try this and see. So just on half. And I'm just going to eyeball it. Okay, I'm not going to play with that. I'm going to let it dry and then we'll see if it works. Okay, so one little idea down. And what else do I have in here? See, bits like this, you know, you can use them for collage. It's cute paper. It's from the inside cover of a book. So, you know, I may make cute little squares and stick in some of those little ephemera packs. So let me go and cut just so it looks a little tidier. Maybe. So then those couple of little pieces can go into, maybe into my little envelope. There, I think that'll work. Cute. Okay. So we have that. I can put some of these other things in. Let's see. This is more for like really scrap collaging. So I need another spot. This doily I ended up not using, and I do have a doily in there. I have a doily in here. I think my other doily, I try not to do in the same one, but I did. So I might want to use another doily somewhere. And it can be a wraparound kind of deal like that. Wrap around a page. And then be a tuck of some kind. I don't know, I'll have to think about that. That's not speaking to me right now. That I can cut up again. Let's see what else is in here. This is a little thicker. This could actually be the backing to a card because it's thicker, and I could use it, you know, like in that pocket I just made for the card that goes behind here. I'll have to think on that too, because it could be the base of doing like a mini master board and then cutting it up into multiple journaling cards. And if you don't know, a master board is basically taking a base sheet, could be a piece of paper, anything, collaging randomly on top of it, and then cutting that apart for, you know, the base of a decorative thing. Then you can add a focal point on it or whatever you want to do. But it's kind of creating a bunch of bases, if that makes sense. At least that's what I think of it. A lot of times people will make a master board on a larger thing and then flip it upside down and cut it up without seeing how they're cutting it up. And then you get this random patchwork of cool, you know, collage underneath. So that could be a fun base for a mini master board kind of deal. These all can be part of that collage. This, I have an idea. I think some of these little pieces, I have an idea for that maybe too. So all of these could be, you know, just nice little extra things. Let's see, we'll think about that. This is a nice piece of tea-stained paper. If I trim this up, this would be, it kind of got chewed up in my printer, and so some ink is there. So, but if I trim the edges off, I like to cover the part with the ruler that I'm tearing off. Everybody has a different way of doing things, but usually that's the skinnier piece, and it gives you can hold this down better and have a bigger piece to grab than trying to pull off a little piece. I just think that's easier. And then I'm going to get rid of this portion that I have. And then I see the piece that I'm going to have remaining, make sure it's kind of all squared up the way I want. Okay, so I can still use those for collage, but this is, you know, tea-stained on the back, so this is a nice just little journaling piece that I can put in a pocket also. Let's see, I had that other pocket. Where'd it go? I haven't put anything in it yet. Since that's a larger piece. Okay. These, I think, are big enough to use for an idea that I had that I want to share because it's kind of fun, and I think it was this little thing that I saw. So I could take some of these wider ones too. So when I saw this piece, I actually have two of them, so I'm going to cut them apart. And this is, actually they're both a little bit longer than they need to be. I need to maybe see where I'm going to put them. I mean, they can go anywhere almost. Let's see. They would be actually good with a belly band when you see what I'm going to do with them. Where do I have pockets here? Let's put something in that one, but then I have this one, the other side of it somewhere here. Here. So I could maybe put it here. Okay, what I'm going to do with this is make some little like matchbook swatch little thingies. So I'm going to cut this one apart and maybe trim a little bit off. It's maybe bigger than it needs to be. Okay, I've trimmed these so that this is about 3/4 of an inch. You can make any measurement you want, and then I shortened them a little bit. So I've got these pieces that I can use for something else. So those will go in my little basket. But what I want to do with these is find some different pieces of scrap and make like a little notepad kind of thing with them. But I'm going to have them be removable so that you can, you know, tear off something and use it for collage or, you know, make a decorative something out of it. So let's see the size that I have here. These need to be a little bit narrower. What's my measurement? Okay, so I want my little papers to be a little less than 2 inches by, 3 1/4, something like that. Okay, so I'm just going to take one of these, and I'm just going to kind of, if they're too long, I can fold them up a little bit. This one is a little too wide. Let me trim that. And same thing, I could just fold these up. And these are great because they're plain. So they're going to be like, you know, less useful than for decorating. I mean, you could use them obviously, but they're perfect for these kind of things. Let's fold that one up. But they're a great place to write like little quotes and use. You know, if you make little cute little stamped labels or things, you know. So you're just going to put a bunch of these. These are kind of nice to collage on. So let's see, what else do I have here that's plain? This is good. This is perfect. Okay, that's a fair amount, so let's just stop with that. And actually, maybe I want to put one of these bigger ones on the top, so it's kind of like a closure-ish. Okay, and they can just be in there messy. They don't have to be anything. You know, it's just like a little cute little notepad. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these and I'm going to do it about 1/2 inch. I'm going to take just the papers, and at 1/2 inch, I'm going to sew a line with no thread in my machine. And it's going to make my notepad perforated so that I can just tear off In fact, I think I'll add another sheet in here that will be my tear off one that I show you how this is going to work. So I will be right back. So you see, I just sewed my machine at 1/2 inch. Oh, I needed to be bigger than that. I guess I didn't have them pushed all the way in. So it was more like 3/4 of an inch. Okay, 3/4 of an inch. And then I put them in there. And you can see my perforation is right there. So I'm going to attach these, let's see, with this little mini stapler. And I'm just going to just staple that. And you don't, you could glue them in if you want. Then I just want to make sure those aren't going to poke anything. Or you could always put something decorative and cute there too. You can glue something over that, like one of these other papers, so that they're not going to hurt anything. And that's kind of cute, a little notepad. So I think I'll add that to this side. Actually, I don't even need this big of a strip, so I'm going to cut that. Something decorative to that. Because it's a little bit lighter of a color, it doesn't stand out very much. So then I would put that little stripe there. And it'd be cute if I had even a tinier, of course that's French, I'm not going to find it there. But say I had something and I saw the word thoughts. I could put thoughts there. So this is where you would get super detailed. Where's my glue? And do all the fun decorative things. So there I covered up the back of my staples so that they don't hurt anyone. You could do the same thing here if you wanted, but I'm not. And then now I have this little cute perforated notepad. So you can make up, this is another thing that you can mass make a lot of ahead of time. The other variation of this is like a matchbook. So had I left this one on, this would be a tuck to close it. I mean, I could still do that with this if I want to glue this back down. I could do that, and then that would be super cute. So let me fold that again. And if you glue it, let's see, like that, you can actually leave a little room like a matchbook. So let's do that. That's cute. Oops. And then you could put something decorative here too if you wanted, or on the front. So had I just left that one big piece, I could have folded it and then done that and made it like a little matchbook. But that's cute. A little notepad kind of thing. So we'll put that in here somewhere. So I'll add that there for now. I may move things around, as I go, but that's just kind of an idea to take your scraps, this could become a notepad too, but that's a nice little writing piece. So this I maybe would just decorate it cute on the outside in some way and then stick it in a pocket. So I'm just going to kind of go through, I think now, and do something with some of these scraps and bits of things that I can put in this book before it goes on to its next owner. So that's where I'm at. I'm going to work on the spine again a little bit more, and we'll see where I get in the next video. So have a great rest of your day. Now go make something. Bye.